Hey, Click Millionaires. Are you worried about being embarrassed in social media? About making a misstep or saying something inappropriate online that might hurt your business? Maybe you're intimidated by the complexity of all the different relationships and status updates and interactivity in social media. Well, this is a common problem that I want to talk about today, thanks to a post from ClickMillionaires.com member Tony in the Click Millionaires forum. Tony's setting up a new online community. It's actually a very cool business that I'm not going to tell you about here, but you can check it out when it's ready. Congratulations to Tony on all the progress he's been making. But he's worried about starting a community because he's intimidated by what might happen when he sets up a message board and nobody shows up. Now, it's true that an empty message board is one of the loneliest places I can think of, especially online. But I've got today for you 7 tips they hopefully can help you overcome your intimidation or your worries about being embarrassed in social media when you're getting started with a new online business. I think Tony stumbled across something that's powerful and important to anyone who's trying to build a business online today, because almost all the businesses that we talk about here at clickmillionaires.com and across the web, well, they all have audiences and they need customers. And building those audiences, well, it can be a tough job. A lot of the prescription for success these days, as you know, if you watch my videos or you read my blog at scottfox.com or listen to my podcasts, well, it's about using social media to make friends and build relationships. But how do you get started without looking like an idiot? That's Tony's question, and I've got some ideas about that. Why? Because I've done it a bunch myself, and of course I've worked with hundreds of other entrepreneurs worldwide, as well as major corporations, to help them get started in social media without embarrassing themselves. So let's talk about 7 ways that you can overcome your worries about getting embarrassed in social media. Like so many problems, I think the solutions here are really become a lot more apparent if you change your assumptions. A lot of our assumptions about interactivity and talking and working with other people, well, they're based on outdated assumptions. You're thinking about online and social media probably the same way that you were raised to think about interacting with people in the real world, like maybe on the playground when you were a kid. Well, online the rules are a little bit different, and that actually allows you a lot more latitude to make mistakes. That's a good thing if you're worried about being embarrassed. So let's talk about how to change your assumptions and how you can lessen your concerns about being embarrassed in social media. Honestly, first of all, it doesn't happen that much online. Being embarrassed, I mean. The fact is that most people, they're really busy. And increasingly, social media is being used for people to shout rather than listen. So your fears about being embarrassed might be exaggerated because you presume that anything you say is going to get heard or read. And the fact is that's probably not true. So there's lots of room for experimentation. To paraphrase Oscar Wilde, the only bad attention online is no attention. So what you really want to do is get into the attention business. Focus on getting, in fact, not just getting, but earning people's attention. And of course, you don't want to embarrass yourself along the way. So I don't want you to rework your business plan to avoid embarrassment. What you need to do is change your assumptions so that you can include experimentation and maybe even a little embarrassment along the way, but to be authentic and build an audience of people who want to hear from you. That's how you build a community online. It's how you build a readership. It's how you build a customer base. Simply put, embarrassment is now a business risk that you need to think about containing, just like you worry about paying your sales tax on time or publishing on time. You know, these things are these are operations, parts of your business. And being embarrassed is just another business risk that if you're smart about it, you can contain it. And you need that audience to grow, and you have to start somewhere. And yes, it can be embarrassing to make those public missteps. So anyway, here are my 7 tips. 1, nobody's probably watching you anyway. When you're new to this stuff, nobody's listening. Go ahead, put up a Facebook page, get out on Twitter, publish a blog. Write the stupidest stuff you can think of just to get practice on publishing. Because nobody's going to probably even notice until you start building an audience. The fact is, you can go out and publish things for very little time investment and almost zero cost. It's not like the old days where you had to have a big investment and a huge lead time to publish a magazine or a book or make a film. You're in media now, but it's free-form, flowing, constantly updating media. So put something up If it doesn't work or it embarrasses you, take it down. Keep moving. Try an experiment. You really have very little to lose because nobody's listening. Number 2, everybody else is new to this also. You may think that you're the last of the social media party, but believe me, there are so many tools online now and new people coming online all the time that you may feel ignorant and insecure about your skills with blogging or posting on Facebook or using LinkedIn. But you know what? Almost everybody else there has probably been there less than a year. In fact, quite a few of them, less than 6 months or even this month. And as soon as you get on, there'll be a whole new wave of people that will show up and they'll think you've been there for years. And if you examine that assumption, you realize that you're probably giving the benefit of the doubt to everyone else in the audience, thinking, oh my gosh, those people have been online like me. I've been online for 15 years. But that still doesn't mean I'm an expert in everything. If I come to a new tool, I'm going to make mistakes too. And you shouldn't give that much benefit to the audience. They're new to this too. And the fact is, they're people, and they probably went through the same learning curve that you're so scared about, like I said, probably in the last few months. And if you make a few mistakes, you might find out that they're happy to help rather than to laugh at you. Okay, number 3, you can always experiment under an alias. That's one of the beautiful things about free social media. If you're really scared, or especially if you have a business that might be put at risk by some of your embarrassing mistakes, it's probably a good idea to try it out under an alias. Make up a name. Now, I don't think that's good for long-term credibility and building authority as an expert in your field. But as an experiment, I think it's perfectly legitimate. Just like everybody only used to have one email address. But today you probably have a couple, and some of them you use to sign up for special offers or random sales or newsletters that you run across, but you don't really worry about it, as opposed to your real, your number one primary email address. Well, you can do the same thing with social media profiles. You can have a couple different accounts on Twitter or a few different Facebook pages. Or you can start a blog. They're free basically at WordPress.com. Try these things out a little and experiment, especially if there's something in your business that might be particularly risky or if you're particularly worried about being embarrassed. Number 4, practice. Practice, 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 right? That's how you get anywhere in this game. And if you get online and try, you will get better with practice. Like I said, almost everybody you meet online has had their training wheels taken off only recently. And in fact, a lot of them are faking it just like you. So they probably have more sympathy than you expect for making some mistakes. And with all these new tools, even the world's most impressive Twitter expert has only been on Twitter for, I think, tops of 3 years. And odds are probably less than a year. Why? Because the service didn't exist 4 years ago. And that's true of most of this stuff. People can proclaim themselves experts, but unless they truly have a track record, they're probably just as new and perhaps just as worried as you are. Okay, number 5. Number 5. Now, how to avoid being embarrassed online? Every list or readership starts with just one fan. Just one fan. So what you need to do is over-deliver in the short term. It's just one person and then 2 people and then 4 people and then 8 people. And what you need to do is not be embarrassed that you have just 1 fan or 3 fans or 30 fans instead of 30,000. You need to make it special for those people so that they're excited to be there and impressed by the level of service that you offer. Switching an orientation from quantity to quality. This is my number 6. Quality is what matters in relationships, and you know what? It's what matters in online marketing these days too. If you can deliver quality to a small group of people, they'll be impressed by your personal expertise, your personal attention, and they're more likely to tell their friends. That's how you build things one step at a time in social media. So my tip number 7, final tip, put your faith in building relationships with people instead of worrying about technology and being embarrassed. I doubt you'll ever be embarrassed by trying sincerely to help people. Nobody's ever offended by being invited to a party, right? It's the same thing with a new blog or community or email list. If they're offended by being invited, by you trying to help them, you know what? You don't want their attention anyway. So I hope that's helpful to you, Tony, and everybody else who's worried about being embarrassed in social media. Social media is about the social. And if you're willing to be authentic and helpful to people, those who aren't appreciative of that, well, that's probably not who you want to do business anyway. Focus on quality over quantity. Have some faith in what you have to deliver to these people. and get out there and make some noise. Just like clickmillionaires.com. It's a small community. People are surprised. They join and they get me personally. That's right. I don't have 10,000 members in there. Why? Quality over quantity. I want to help people, and that's what keeps people coming back. So I hope that's helpful, Tony. Thanks everybody for listening. It's great to have you here this week. Thanks to Click Millionaire Tony for this topic suggestion. If you like this, would you click like or share it with a friend? And by the way, if you have questions like this yourself, clickmillionaires.com is a great place to join. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Is social media intimidation a problem for you? Are these tips helpful? Which ones did I miss? I'd appreciate your feedback below in the comments. And for the rest of you Click Millionaires, some quick other updates this week. There's a new poll on the site. We have a bunch of new members, so help me welcome them. Those of you who are new, come on down and why don't you suggest your own website? You know, we could help you tune it up with a free website tune-up community clinic on clickmillionaires.com. The other members would be happy to help you out. The free tools section, I wanted to point that out to you. Tons of free info there on search engine optimization, public relations, free keyword tools, even music, stuff that you can use to keep yourself happy while you're working online. And of course, we've got a video winner. Our video winner this week is Steve from Cleveland, Ohio. So Steve, if you're watching this, send me an email and you'll get a free download from the Scott Fox shop. So that's what we've got for this week. Please drop by clickmillionaires.com again soon if you're a member, and if you're not, you might consider it. And in the meantime, leave me a comment below. I hope that this has helped you be less intimidated by social media. It's a great opportunity. Thanks for watching. I'm Scott Fox.